Welcome to the Newtown Big Dreams podcast, an interview-style talk show that's your gateway to the fabulous and fascinating people who relocated to start a new life. Whether you're new to our podcast or your city, our fellow neighbors from across Canada, North America, and the entire English-speaking world share their stories of reaching new horizons and big dreams. So sit back and relax as we navigate in-depth and intimate conversations with entrepreneurs, thought leaders, executives, creatives, and anyone who can share their story about their Newtown big dreams. And now, here's your host, Luke J. Menkes.
So I'm here with Shaun Sanders from Renegade Food Truck, and I've been excited to get you on the show for a while, Shaun. I want to talk about your amazing food truck. And I want to talk about your Instagram account, which is one of the best in the Okanagan, in my opinion. And it certainly gets the most likes and among the most engagement out of any profile I've seen. So I want to talk to you about those things. First of all, you came to Kelowna a little less than 3 years ago. Tell us the story of how you got here.
So, my fiance now, but my girlfriend at the time, we were living in Vancouver, living in the West End. We worked downtown at a luxury hotel. You know, we had a really good lifestyle there, but we wanted a little more. We wanted to be able to buy, basically. And you know, for what we were living in the West End, we could have gotten 500 square foot apartment, or we could move here and we were able to buy a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house for the same price. So it's kind of no brainer. I mean, people that live in Vancouver are very think Vancouver's the best, and I love Vancouver, don't get me wrong, but they're like, why would you leave? They're really that's the center of the universe for them. So we expanded out. We didn't really have any friends or family here. We just moved to Kelowna because it was nice, and we love it.
And it's a little more affordable for housing,
definitely,
at least at that time.
Definitely. Well, it's gone up since, but still, I mean, comparatively, it's still much more affordable, and I think it's a better pace of life too, to be honest.
So tell us about your food truck. Let's get right into it. I mean, it's amazing. When did you start it, first of all?
So we started last year. The idea came about last winter. We're
talking 2017, 2018?
Yeah, it would be early 2018. Okay. The idea kind of came out. A local guy used to have a vegan taco truck here, and he was moving and he was selling it. So I went to talk to him about maybe buying it. It didn't work out for a variety of reasons, but it sparked the idea. So we started looking around a little bit more, and we found a trailer for good price in Kamloops, brought it back. Little did I know it was nowhere near up to code, and because when you reapply, these things don't get grandfathered in. So basically, I had to gut it and basically start from scratch. But by the time everything came through, it was August last year. And then we didn't have a long season. We got about 3-4 months in there, but they were very, very busy and lucrative. And definitely we're opening up here again in a few weeks, and we're really excited for our second season.
Cool. Yeah. So tell us a bit about that for those who don't know what's involved in getting it certified. It's got to be sanitary, obviously, but what are some of the changes you have to make? Right.
So you have to go through almost the exact same process as you would opening up a restaurant. You got to provide the health authorities a floor plan. You have to get all your gas fittings and electrical inspected and certified by the BC Safety Authority. It has to be obviously inspected and approved by the fire departments. And a food truck's a little different too, because I go from community to community. So I have to get business licenses and fire inspections for each community that I go to. So I primarily hold a Kelowna and West Kelowna business license, so I have to get inspections for both. So there's a lot of stuff. There's no really consolidated resource out there that I could find that tells you exactly what you have to do. So there's a lot of trial and error, and sometimes certain new codes had changed. They just changed the gas fitting code, so that was outdated, and I had to get that redone. And this information is not really on websites even, so there's a lot of trial and error. So anybody I talk to now that is interested in opening a food truck, I'm I'll talk to me. I can help you out a little bit. Yeah, because it's a lot, and there's not really any resources out there.
Right.
And to a certain extent, I mean, among that community, people are a little bit kind of competitive and
they don't want to give away the
I mean, so some are better than others. I've met some really great people since, but
and I guess it's kind of a unique thing that you've done, and with entrepreneurs, if you're doing something kind of almost for the first time. There's not a ton of resources.
That's right.
Anyways,
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So you kind of have to do that legwork. Tell us about the look of it. It looks beautiful. It looks amazing. Yeah. How did you come up with the style? And did you paint it yourself?
Yeah, so I came up with all the graphics. Actually, had a friend of mine come up. He designed the graphics for me. He's a bit of does a lot of different things. He's in a band, does all this stuff, and he did the designs for me. But I had a solid idea of what I knew exactly what I wanted. Yeah. The whole idea behind it, the Renegade Kitchen thing, that is meant to have this sort of like rebellious kind of, back in high school, I was in like punk rock bands and stuff like that. And I wanted to have that kind of attitude. That's why our logo or our sort of secondary logo is like a fist rising up, like a revolutionary fist, but it's holding a fork. And it ties in with kind of what we're serving as well. Everything's 100% plant-based, but it appears all very kind of normal, what you'd expect from a food truck. Yeah. But it's just kind of going against the grain of what people expect. So that's how this sort of concept evolved a little bit, but I always had kind of punk rock, sort of a little bit edgy kind of thing. Yeah. And then, so that's how that kind of evolved. And then it just went with like the colors when like I said, I was in these punk rock bands and stuff back in the day. Black and like crimson red is sort of what came to mind to me for that color scheme. And sure. And so it all came together really well.
So talking about rebellion against the food industry, tell us about some of your beliefs and why you wanted to do a vegan truck.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, there's three main reasons that people are interested in going vegan or eating plant-based. There's obviously the animal, the ethics of it is the one that people always think of. But there's also your health. I mean, everybody knows it's good for you to eat lots of fruits and vegetables. And then a big one that some people don't even realize is the environment. And for me, that was the biggest driving force. Like, for instance, it takes over 5,000 liters of fresh water to produce the amount of beef that goes into a Big Mac. Wow. Yeah, so each time somebody eats one of my burgers as opposed to eating a Big Mac, we're saving, I haven't calculated exactly how many liters of water it takes to produce mine, but, I was saving at least 4,000 liters of water for every single burger I sell. I was always, before I learned all this stuff, I was, I'd consider myself a bit of an environmentalist. We live in Vancouver. I always ride my bike to work, take short showers. Obviously, I still do these things and I religiously recycle. But when I discovered that, eating a plant-based diet was like, by a landslide, was the single most thing I could do to impact the environment as an individual. I couldn't turn away. Like more than if I never drove my car again in my life, or even I just rode my bike, didn't even take transit, and I only did cold showers, it still is only a drop in the bucket compared to the impact of eating animal products,
right,
in the environment.
And even a lot of vegetables and non-animal products that we eat are heavily processed. And,
that's right, yeah.
And they use a ton of packaging. Yeah, right?
That's definitely another concern. I mean, there's so many different levels to it, right? Especially when you come to veganism and people eating plant-based and stuff like that. For some people, as long as it doesn't have animal products, they're happy with that. And then other people, they start getting more deep into it and start talking about the ethics of things like I read an article the other day, are coconuts vegan? And obviously, like on paper they are, but they're talking about, in some of these South Asian countries, they've trained monkeys to harvest all the coconuts. Uh-huh. So this slave monkey labor then creates an ethical question of, is it still vegan?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So another example of that is palm oil, which is in just about everything. They're rapidly destroying orangutan habitat in order to plant these oil palms. So again, among the vegan community, there's hardcore vegans, they don't, palm oil is not considered vegan, even though it doesn't contain any animal products, just due to the ethics of how it has to be produced. Right. So again, there's all these different levels to it. I mean, we're not trying to subscribe to that level on the food truck. This is like, our food is for everybody. It's very approachable. We're not trying to get to that like seventh layer of vegan level. Don't eat anything that casts a shadow or anything like that. So it's more approachable from our end, anyways.
For sure. And I think like with anything in life, incremental but aggressive improvements, but incremental improvements, you can over time solve a lot of problems.
Definitely. I mean, I think I was talking about the plant-based thing, like. I've been sort of eating this way and interested in it for about 4 years. My partner, she's been doing it for close to 9. And even just in the last 4 years, like the amount of awareness I've seen around people's dietary choices. Now the new Canada Food Guide, they're not even recommending eating much if any, dairy and really limiting your intake of animal proteins, stuff like that. So things are definitely changing, and they're changing fast. Like, A&W launched that Beyond Burger this summer. I'm sure you heard about that.
No.
Oh yeah. So it's like this burger, and Leonardo DiCaprio and some other celebrities are kind of backing it, and they've invested in it, and it's like this crazy thing, plant-based burger. So A&W is the first kind of fast food chain to bring it on in Canada, and they sold out of the nationwide supply in like the first week, and it was on back order. What they thought would last them at their main warehouses for like 2 months, they sold in a week. So they were sold out for that amount of time until they could replenish their stock. So the demand's there, and the awareness is definitely becoming a thing. So yeah.
Sure. Have you always been vegan?
No, it's. I mean, I grew up on a farm, so like we had farm animals. Like I lived that whole life, and then even I was a chef and going to cooking school and stuff, and I would always I begrudgingly make vegan meals. But this is before I knew any of this stuff, right? Right. So,
and I guess the industry is way different than what you saw on a family farm. I mean, the level of cruelty and environmental impact is crazy.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, but I wasn't unaware of that. It's just like, I grew up on a farm, and we treat our animals well, and we name them and stuff. And it was just kind of an understood thing that they were giving their lives for us. Like, and I never enjoyed doing it. Like, don't get me wrong. I always on some level kind of felt it was wrong, as a kid growing up and killing chickens and stuff like that. But it was just kind of like, you live on a farm, this is your source of food, this is what you do. And I did become a bit desensitized to it over the years of doing it.
Sure.
Didn't make it easier necessarily. But then, yeah, I mean, obviously, like those pigs we had lived a great life. They ate, nothing but farm scraps, and I'd go and pet them, and they ate, we'd always slaughter them kind of around the time of apples. So they'd just eat a ton of apples for the last week. And exactly. But obviously, that is not common industry practice. Like, at all. Not even close. Like,
it's pretty horrific.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you decided to become vegan, you told your family. How did they react? Are they still on the farm? Some of them?
Yeah. My parents still the farm. They don't raise animals anymore because there's no kids at home. So
you kind of need that slave labor to.
Yeah, well, it'd be too much meat for just the two of them, right? So yeah, we've all gone off to do our own thing now. My family reacted, not too bad. I think they still kind of have this idea that it's just kind of a phase. Like, my sister was vegetarian for a few years in high school, and she's gone back to eating meat and stuff. I think they still kind of think maybe I'll go back, but overall, my family's been very supportive of it. Yeah, they come over for dinner, and I make them stuff, and they're happy to eat it. And if I go, my mom will make sure we're looked after and stuff. So,
well, I think one of the best things you could do if you want to stay vegan is come up with a lot of great recipes of delicious stuff.
Definitely,
because there's kind of a myth among meat eaters that you're going to really feel deprived. You're going to feel like you're missing out on some delicious stuff. And I think with your food truck, you've really done an amazing job making incredible tasting stuff. Incredible looking stuff. So tell us about some of the philosophy behind your recipes.
Yeah, so I wanted everything to be very familiar. And there's also this sort of mentality that, vegan food is always expensive. And I mean, I've seen that around, and so I wanted to kind of shatter those myths. We bring a big part of our business plan is we want to bring affordability to it. And like I said, everything is like very, very familiar. And I've been cooking for about 12 years, so I spent a few months of recipe development. And a big thing, I think, with the vegan food isn't so much the taste. You can get a lot of similar tastes, but it's texture. Trying to replicate that meaty texture. That's what people really miss. So everything's very familiar. And actually, like it says plant-based right on the side of the trailer. But we've had people come, we were doing events and stuff, and they don't notice that. And they just come, they see, they got burgers, and they got a BLT, and we got mac and cheese. They come and order something, and then they come back after, and they're like, that was all plant-based? Wow. Like, we had this...
I can't believe it.
Yeah, we had this, we called it the Balto, like a BLT. And we had an older couple come, they were probably in their 60s or 70s. And she ordered her bacon extra crispy, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then they went and ate. And she came back, and she's like, wow, that was super good. What kind of bacon do you use? Like, is it back bacon or something? And I was like, oh, that wasn't actually bacon at all. She's like, what? And I was like, oh yeah, it's all plant-based. Everything's vegan. There was no animal products.
So what is it? What's it made of?
The bacon? Yeah. So that's primarily, it's called seitan. So it's made primarily out of wheat gluten as your source of protein. So obviously not good for people that eat a gluten-free diet. We do have lots of gluten-free options though. But that was the thing. I experimented with lots of different things, and that was the thing I found most similarly replicated, that kind of crispy on the edges, chewy in the middle sort of texture that you get from bacon. So, yeah.
And as far as the flavor, does it have flavor, or do you add flavor to it?
Yeah, I mean, the Vital Wheat gluten doesn't taste like much, but I add flavor, spices, and some smoky flavors and stuff like that. And it's not going to be exactly like bacon. It's not going to be greasy like that.
But it's pretty tasty.
It's good, yeah. And the texture, like I said, the texture is the biggest thing, I think, for these vegan products. So, yeah.
Does it take a lot more time to prepare than if you were just throwing bacon on?
Yeah, I mean, I make almost everything from scratch, like including like my mayos and stuff like that. Just because, a lot of kind of the quality of products that I'm looking for aren't really out there yet necessarily, which is why we have made such kind of a splash among the communities, because, we're creating these things from scratch with these textures and flavors that you can't actually even buy in stores or get anywhere else. So, yeah.
So are you mobile, or are you in a particular spot all the time?
So we got 2 days lined up for this season full time, and we're kind of working out the rest right now. But Thursdays will be at Kettle River Brewery, downtown Kelowna.
Where is that exactly?
It's on Bailey Avenue. It's just off Richter, sort of north downtown towards Knox. Where all the kind of breweries are.
So
going
it's not too far from the winery, Sandhill.
Yeah, just up the street there and around the corner, maybe like 2 blocks away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's Thursdays.
Starting
when?
So starting April 4th, we'll be there. They're got their spring hours still, so we'll be doing 3 to 8. In the summer, they open earlier, so we'll probably do more like a noon to 8 or noon to sold out type thing. Thursdays. Fridays, we had the spot last year. It's called Truck 59 Cider House.
West side.
Yeah, on the west side. So owner's super nice guy, and they're doing
Russ,
Russ, you've met Russ, doing really cool stuff over there. Just a really nice guy, really beautiful spot. If you haven't been there, I would highly recommend checking it out. Like the landscapes, it's kind of reminiscent of a winery. Like you got the sweeping view of the lake, but only instead of the vineyards, you got the apple orchards. He's planted a bunch of cider apples there. So we'll be there on Fridays. Again, hours will be shifting a little bit throughout the season based on when they're open, but I think we're going to be starting with 11 or 11:30 a.m. till 6 p.m. Fridays, and we'll be there almost every single Friday. I think we're going to miss 1 or 2 for events.
Nice.
Throughout the season, and then Saturday, Sundays, we're still in the works right now. Kind of trying to. We've filled up a lot of them with some various events and stuff. So you'll see us around town at a few different things going on. Like I don't know how much I can give away at this point, but yeah, so we'll be around a bit, and then Sundays we're looking at a couple other things. So nothing solid to announce yet, but
yeah. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays,
prep and shopping administrative days.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
interesting.
4 days is
Is it sustainable for you financially to do 3-4 days a week?
Definitely
selling food.
That's all I can handle. Yeah. Because I prep everything myself, right? So I need time to be able to do that, right? So if I was able to just buy things and just resell them, it'd be a lot easier. I could be open more. Obviously, the integrity of the food wouldn't be there to the same extent. And but yeah, I mean, we draw a pretty good crowd. For instance, we're not open yet, but we did a restaurant takeover downtown. And we had about 200 people come through in like 2 hours. Like it was like lined up. Sold out way early. Yeah. We did one before in January, and I kind of looked at our sales reports and I based what we sold last time. So I made that amount plus 10%, and we were way busier than last time. We sold out in no time. And I always feel bad turning away customers, but at the same time, it's like, well, I do want to sell out from a business perspective. Right?
Of course.
Yeah.
What do you do with the leftovers?
If
any.
Yeah, I mean, in the on season, it's different because we can just kind of carry that product and sell it the next day.
Right.
These pop-ups, though, we eat as much of it as we can. I give it away to staff and neighbors and stuff. But unfortunately, inevitably, some of it does end up going in the compost at home. Which is why I want to try and keep it as tight as possible. So it's like really straddling this fine line between I want to be able to provide for people what they want, but
you don't want to
without having to throw things out. Yeah, because obviously I care about the environment. So the environmental aspect, it's all that wasted energy, transporting and everything just to go in the bin. and then obviously the cost as well. So it's a bit of a fine line to know how, because I don't know how many people are going to show up. Like, I don't know. You know?
You try to predict, and with experience, you're probably getting a little more accurate.
Yeah,
but you never know.
Well, we just got absolutely smoked there on Friday. So yeah, I mean, it actually, you know, we continue to be blown away by the support of the community and how much people love our food and go to their way to come and support us, and we're just so grateful for that.
So how do people find out when you're at an event or where you're going to be?
So typically we kind of do some promotional stuff on our Instagram account, which is at Renegade Food Truck. We'll kind of about 2 weeks out start leading up to if we're doing some events. But if you want to find us, we have on our website, which is renegadekitchen.ca, we have a full calendar for each month, essentially. And I think we're like already got calendars released up till May right now. Cool. So you can see where we're at each day. And if you want to come check us out, or if you know you're going to a different festival or event that's going on, and if we're going to be there or not, you can see a few months out. So that's probably the best way is the website, just because it's a nice organized calendar. We do post some stuff, but we also like to keep our feed on our Instagram pretty clean and nice looking, so we don't want to have a ton of different text posts of where we're going to be and stuff. So
tell us about at Renegade Food Truck, your Instagram account. And I notice like quite often you'll get several hundred likes on a post.
Yeah.
Did it start off that way?
No,
how did you build to it?
It took off pretty quickly. I mean, obviously the concept really resonates with people. We have this really good resource as, you know, Vegans in Kelowna. There's this Facebook group that has over 2,000 members, Kelowna Vegan Supporters. So a few weeks prior, when we finally got all our stuff through, our permits were in place, and we knew we were going to open, I posted on that Facebook group a few pictures of food and stuff. And it basically just about went viral amongst that community, at least. Like, everybody's sharing it. And then Kelowna Now, I guess one of their writers or somebody that works there must be in that vegan group, because the next day they had written an article about us with some pictures of food and stuff and some quotes off the website. So then that got shared multiple times, and thousands and thousands of views. That had hundreds of likes. So we immediately started getting some traction on the Instagram almost right away. And then, you know, I've been a chef for years, and I like taking pictures of food. So, I like doing different angles and stuff and lighting. Like, I'm good at taking pictures of food. I'm not necessarily good at taking pictures of landscapes. So obviously that helps. So we got quite a bit of traction right away. We only had like one post, and we were already getting a few hundred followers in. And then we were lucky enough, a few weeks in, Jillian Harris came by, and she put us in her Instagram story. So that helped. We got a couple hundred more followers just from her influence, which was obviously amazing. But in terms of the engagement, that's what I actually, I can't wrap my head around. I see people with way more followers than us getting way less likes on their posts.
Right.
So the engagement is unreal. Like, for instance, this, I said we just got killed at our pop-up on Friday. So we were trying out this new thing, is vegan calamaris made out of hearts of palm. And I made this like tzatziki out of cashews and stuff. And it was super good. Anyways, I posted that on Instagram. We have under 2,000 followers, and that got like over 350 likes. And it was just like, it was just rolling in, people tagging each other and sharing it. And on Facebook, we cross-posted on Facebook. People were sharing it and tagging their friends. We had over 2,000 people on Facebook see that post, which is, I think, one of the reasons why we got so overrun on Friday was just because of that. So I think it's actually, for our business in particular, you know, and because we're moving around and stuff like that, Instagram has just been an absolutely invaluable tool.
Sure. Like, that's
an example of it with the calamari. But even last year, like, you know, I would post the night before, I'm running this special this weekend. Whatever it was. I one time did an avocado po' boy sandwich.
Right.
And yeah, I had somebody show up first thing the next day as soon as we opened. And she didn't even remember what it was called. She's like, I want the Instagram special.
Right.
Yeah. And like right there, like, yeah. So it's the power of social media is like, I know in general, but especially for our business, it's just been like, just so invaluable to be able to target our exact audience. It's just, it is amazing. Yeah.
So the photography is obviously a big part of it because it's attractive to look at. I think that's a huge part of
Definitely,
Instagram.
yeah.
That's why people are on
Totally.
Instagram,
Yeah.
right? You said you had a hard time wrapping your head around why you're getting so much more engagement.
Yeah.
Have you come up with any theories?
Well, I think just the concept and the things we're doing really resonate with people in the vegan community and just anybody who's interested in eating more plant-based or something like that.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I've been cooking for a long time. Most of my background's in fine dining, so I do have a lot of technical skill. I don't really, like, all the food on the truck looks very approachable.
Yeah.
There doesn't look like there's a lot of technique
The
behind
presentation is
right.
really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we think of a food truck, we think of like, just a lump of stuff
right.
piled into a box.
Yeah.
And your presentation looks like fine dining.
Yeah. Well, in a less pretentious way.
Right.
Like I want things to be very approachable. I want to take this sort of mystique around plant-based eating away. I want to break down those barriers. We're not trying with the food. We're not trying to like convince people they should go vegan.
Right.
But, we can give them a damn good burger and they can, maybe it might get the wheels turning a little bit in their mind.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You mentioned the off season, the on season. So when is your on season and what do you do with your time in the off season?
So the on season is kind of April till Halloween. We sort of shut down. And that's like full-time food truck, open, 4 days, 4 to 5 days a week. And we're super busy with that. The off season is kind of, sort of November to March, the end of March. We do like to try and get away and go on a trip. Last year we went to Miami right after the season, which was awesome. Got somewhere warm in November. But otherwise we keep ourselves occupied. I actually teach some cooking classes. There's a great couple runs this business called Start Fresh Kitchen in the Landmark buildings. So they do catering and they have some different programs and stuff. So I teach some classes over there. I've been doing about one a month through the winter, which have been great, good turnout, and people really enjoy doing them. And then we've also done a few other things. We did some pop-up dinners and restaurant takeovers and stuff. We did one over at Aryan Therapeutic Farm, which is an animal sanctuary in East Kelowna. So that one we did, we donated half of our proceeds to them, which is great. We had an amazing turnout. They said it was the busiest they've ever been in terms of tours and stuff. And the parking lot was just full. It was super good. And then, we do a few restaurant takeovers. This year we did them at Munins Post, it's called, downtown. So we just did that one on Friday.
So does the chef welcome that when you do a restaurant takeover? Yeah. I mean, I've seen it on your feed, but I haven't heard of it before. So how does that work? Yeah,
I mean, it's just kind of you come to an agreement in terms of like, who's going to take care of what and profits sharing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it can definitely be a mutually beneficial thing. Like the first one we did, we went and took over the kitchen, and we also met with the representative for Lighthouse Brewing. So it's like kind of a three-way thing. The Lighthouse came and did the tap takeover. And then we came and took over the kitchen.
Right.
And then obviously the restaurant has a ton of additional foot traffic through it as well. So it's kind of like a mutually beneficial. Everybody kind of wins a little bit there. We all cross promote each other too. So we get that a little bit more out there. So
perfect.
Yeah.
So is it the weather that causes it to shut down? Because I grew up in Toronto, for example. I would see food trucks, mostly not the best, but I would see food trucks like outside of baseball games and hockey games and construction sites, and they would go all winter.
Yeah.
Is it just because the traffic is so much less?
Well, I mean, to an extent. I mean, Toronto, it's busy all the time.
Right.
We know living in Kelowna, like people like to hibernate around here a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's twofold. I mean, there's the, is it going to be worth it for me to be open? We're definitely like summer-based people here.
Right.
And fair enough, we have beautiful summers. And then, you obviously a little bit more money to winterize the truck as well. I have to wrap all the pipes and heat tape so they don't freeze, and put heat blankets around the water tanks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's, even going into November last year, it was pretty cold. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. So basically, that's if it was more lucrative, maybe I would consider doing it, but I know how it is in Kelowna in the winter, and so
it's pretty quiet.
It's very.
I was thinking of like the construction sites. There's a lot of construction happening. So
So the way the bylaws are in Kelowna, I can't just go wherever I please.
Right.
Yeah,
you can't just like pull up into a parking stall. And
throw
some quarters in.
No, exactly. I have to. I can't really park anywhere on city property. There's certain contracts that come out. Like we see those guys down by Stewart Park and stuff like that. Those are all city contracts.
Right.
So they're allowed to park there, but otherwise I have to park on private property.
Right.
So that means I have to try and find some kind of half decent location where it's going to be mutually beneficial for me to be there for the owners. That's why for us a good fit is like breweries, wineries, cideries, stuff like that is a good fit. Keeps people around, keeps people drinking, and obviously it's good for us too. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Shaun, who would you like to nominate to come on the show? Who would you like to hear me interview in the future?
Yeah. So, we actually just met with them this morning. There's this really nice couple. They're named Jade and Joel. Jade Hadfield and Joel Murga. They run a vegan and gluten-free bakery they started up last year. Mm-hmm. And they sell at farmers markets and stuff. And just a super nice couple, really interesting people too. I thought they'd be a good fit. And then another guy, if he has time, I think it might be kind of cool if you can talk to Russ Johnson, who owns Truck 59 Cider House.
We already interviewed.
Oh, you've already done him?
And that's great. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to hear it. He came a few weeks ago and told us all about the cidery, which I haven't even seen yet.
Oh, you got to come up. It's gorgeous.
So I think April, he's having a big opening.
That's right, yeah.
As well.
We'll be there.
You'll be there.
That's right, yeah.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Russ is a great guy.
Yeah, awesome.
Super easy to talk to.
We love him. Him and I, we hit it off immediately as soon as we met.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for your time.
Awesome.
Really appreciate it.
Great. Thanks so much, Luke.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Newtown Big Dreams podcast with your host, Luke Menkes, and his authentic guests. And we love our listeners and hope you subscribe now to learn more about the amazing journeys of our incredible guests who relocated to find a new town, big dreams. And remember, make your dreams big.